So Luke, we're not going to be talking about movie news today because we're far more excited about something else. We will finally, as of tomorrow, be allowed to leave our houses without getting shot on sight. So are you excited?
Yeah, it's a very momentous day. Super Saturday, they're calling it. And yeah, I can't wait. Some people have criticised the government for opening up pubs. That's why it's called Super Saturday tomorrow, or Saturday the 4th of July. And they may have done it because it is the 4th of July, that they want to get British people into that, free, independent spirit, like our American counterparts. And it may be reckless as well to open stuff up at 6 a.m. in the morning, meaning that you could have, 18 hours of drinking, which, because of our drinking culture in this country, I won't be surprised if quite a few pubs are like that. And I don't see what can go wrong, Michael. What can go wrong? I think things are going to go swell. What would you say?
The only thing that could go wrong is that because they're hyping up as such an important event, it will encourage far more people to go than necessary. Whereas if they would have just quietly opened it, then not as many people would have felt like there was some need to go. Whereas now, because it's been hyped up as a massive event, there's going to be a big incentive for people to feel like they're participating by going out, which is going to massively inflate the number of people who go out, which is going to cause a serious second spike. That's the only thing which I think could go wrong.
And it's on a Saturday as well, not a Monday. It's a Saturday. So
yeah, it's kind of like they just...
Everyone knows Saturday is the day where people drink the less.
Yes,
at least.
Exactly, yeah. Saturday, more like sat around and did nothing that day because it's, Saturday. Who goes out on Saturday?
Exactly. Nothing will go wrong, Michael. Absolutely nothing.
Oh, great. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael and joined as always by my co-host Luke. And this week we were going to be celebrating Showgirls to celebrate the 25-year anniversary, but we decided to look at a film that was a tiny bit more recent, as in released this year in February, but also was just really boring film with loads of nudity in it. And I hated it. So, Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about 365 Dni, which is what it's called in Polish.
Yes, DNI, as it says in the post-it, yes. Well, you're right, Michael, we weren't going to be doing Showgirls, but movies got moved around, as they do, because they're movies.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, good one, Luke.
That was your joke. I did steal it. But no, I decided to do this, 365 Days, because it is a movie that has gotten a lot of press recently, because of how unique it is, shall we say. And his thing, ever since Bird Box, that was over a year ago, I've been looking at these movies that have been released on Netflix and Amazon to see, ones that, or just online in general, that aren't released in cinemas that catch on, because we can review them because we don't have to pay money to
go to the cinema.
Watch them in the cinema. Yeah, it's great. And there haven't been any, really, until this one. Until 365 Days, which I think was top 4 in the UK, I believe, at one point. The fourth most watched movie on Netflix.
That's great.
In the UK, yes. And what's incredible about it, of course, is it's not very well known. It's a fucking Polish movie. How did it get so popular? Well, we'll go into that. But anyway, so 365 Days, Michael, is a 2020 Polish erotic romantic drama film directed by Barbara... Oh my god.
Barbara... You can pronounce these names. I believe in you.
Białowłos and Tomasz Mandas.
Mandas. I'd like to man his ass.
Maybe it's Mandes. Tomasz Mandes. It is based on the first novel of a trilogy. There are always trilogies, aren't there?
Yeah.
Written by Blanka Lipinska. It was released on the 7th of February 2020. It stars Anna Maria Sikluka. Michelle. It's Kluka, not Clocker.
Good.
There's a big difference there. Anna Maria Sikluka, Michelle Morone, Bronislaw Roklowski, Ota Sarandlidzi, Magdalena Lamparska, Natasha Ubranska. There you go. I think I nailed all of those absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, I think you did. I think your pronunciation is very polished. Sorry, that's Polish.
That's great, really funny.
I know.
As released on the 7th of February in this year, so this is now the newest movie we've reviewed, Michael?
Yep.
Most recent, yep. And the language is Polish, Italian, and English. I don't have how much it cost to make. There is none of that on the Wikipedia page, but can you tell me what the box office is, Michael? How much did it make?
Honestly, I don't know exactly how... Oh, well, I guess it was been released other ways. So surely, like, not very much. What, like, I don't know, 15 million?
9.5 million.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yes, $9.5 million. And so, Michael, the question is, did you like 365 Days?
No, I didn't.
Really?
It's funny this film's called DNI because I wanted to deny this film a place in my watch list.
Well, you're going to have to do it. I'm sorry, pal.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to have to do it. But here's the thing. Did I like this movie? Yes, I did. And why did I like it, Michael?
Because you're really horny.
Because it was hilarious. This is one of those movies where I finally found it. You know, we've had many tries, but I think I finally found a movie where it's so bad it's good. And I can't wait to dive into this. So, Michael, how many nitpicks do you have?
I've only got the one, based on the fact that I think this film is quite... Oh, actually, no, I've got two. There we go, I'm looking like an idiot. So, yeah, I got two.
Okay, I've got one.
Yeah.
Just the one. So, the nitpick is, how did Massimo, that's the mafia guy, get pictures of Martin, who's the boyfriend of the Polish girl, cheating on her so quickly? He only knew about her when he saw her at the airport. And as was revealed later, the photos weren't photoshopped, so I put that in. Maybe the photos were photoshopped, but they weren't. So he had to find this guy and then somehow trick him, because I assume that's what happened, tricking him into sleeping with some prostitutes, I imagine, and, set it all up. I'm just thinking, like, it's a very, very quick operation there. From Massimo, and to have the pictures taken and put in that envelope. He really does run a slick operation.
Yeah, it's like really annoying to go to the post office just to get an envelope. But I guess he's got guys who can do it for him.
Maybe after a few days he would reveal that the boyfriend has been cheating on her. So yeah, it would be more realistic, but that's not what happened. So what are your two nitpicks?
My two nitpicks. So the first one is a more substantial one, I think. But actually, I'll start with the smaller one. He comes very fast. Now, I'm willing to let this off because I think it's probably just a timing thing, but they don't imply a passage of time, and he was getting blown for like a minute. I swear, like he was not getting blown very long, and he came like a lot of the sexual encounters in the film seem to. Some of them do imply a passage of time, like the one on the boat. They're just going at it for ages, but other times he just seems to really, no. Anyway, now
maybe they're really good.
Yeah, maybe they
know what they're doing.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true. And this one's like it's more fundamental, but I'm still gonna have it as a nitpick because I don't really care. His plan is so stupid because she has every incentive not to give in. Like, obviously, in reality, of course she does because it's a stupid romance film. But like, he's literally kind of baiting her to give in such a way that it's obviously going to make her not want to give in. And it's just like such an obviously terrible plan to be like, I've kidnapped you. And now you're going to fall in love with me. And he's like, at some point, just teasing her, like, yeah, you're going to give in. And it's like, that's the exact kind of thing where I would think a woman would go, just based on that, no.
Yeah, I mean, that seems more like a plot thing rather than
I was thinking that, but I was kind of thinking, like, I don't care too much, which is, a very nice thing for me to say. But yeah, I was like, it wasn't something which bothered me massively, which is why I'm putting it as a nitpick. But I just thought, it was still stupid. But
well, that's the whole concept of the movie, and it can't just be a nitpick.
I kind of see what you're saying. Yeah, so like obviously because it's so fundamental, but in a way, I guess it's a bit like because let's be honest, this film it's kind of porn, and it would be a bit like saying, so you're telling me that the pizza delivery guy went to all the effort to cut a little hole in the center of the pizza and slot his dick in there. I'm not buying it. Well, maybe. But ultimately, the porn
I don't think
has
that's
to
a good
happen
comparison because that surely can't be that hard.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I swear that is actually like a thing I've seen when like, pizza guy be like, "Hey, I've got a pizza for you," and then his dick's there in the middle of the pizza, and she's like, "Oh wow, I didn't realize I ordered a meat feast." I was thinking that though, like this is a very weird film to review because It is.
Oh, really?
Because this is more like... okay, we're going to talk about the other film later, so we'll mention that later. But what we should talk about is the plot. So read me the plot, Luke, now.
Sure thing, Michael. First off, I do want to, before I get into the plot, I just want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Obviously, we decided on watching this movie last week because I seen the hype around it. I thought it would be a good idea. There's not any movies being released, so we can watch whatever we want, basically. I mean, we can do that anyway, but we can really do it now, as all the movies have been pushed back to like August at the earliest. So I decided to pick this movie because I thought it'd be funny. I just want to let you know. Well, did you know about it before you watched it, or did you? Were you glad that I asked you to watch it?
So, point one is that I had seen a review of this film saying it wasn't very good. I'd seen, I think the review said, it was on YouTube, kind of just recommended, it said, 365 Days is the worst film I've ever seen, was the caption.
I think I watched that video as well.
Yeah, and I think I did finish it. Yeah, I did. I watched it after my first watch. So yeah, in terms of am I glad you picked it? I'm not as disappointed as I could be. I was thinking this film would be completely joyless, which would not be good, is my humble submission. However, I did find that I was able to enjoy it to some significant degree as a so bad it's good film, which I wasn't expecting. So I guess that's kind of a positive thing there. I was expecting to come out of it going, oh, that was just boring. Whereas there was like, I wouldn't want to watch this film again. Like, I didn't enjoy this film ironically enough that I would want to watch it again.
Even with your partner?
Not even with my significant other, no. But,
is that what she's called now?
Yeah. But, basically, I did find it, the time went faster than I was thinking, which is always a good sign. Like,
yes, that is true. Yes.
With 50 Shades, I can't help but mention it. I know we're going to talk about that, but with 50 Shades, I just remember the time dragging by. Like, feeling really slow. With this film, like, shockingly, I was like, oh, it's been 40 minutes already. Like, it was actually not like I was constantly checking the time or anything. So that was, overall, not bad. And I prefer it to Showgirls, too, which is what we're otherwise going to watch.
Okay, well, don't spoil it. That's it in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, yeah,
but anyway.
Okay, great, love it.
Yeah. I agree. I think this is a movie which it did go by pretty quickly. And certainly compared to that movie that we have to mention, which we will mention more later on, 50 Shades of Grey, it certainly felt a lot quicker. I can just picture, like, for example, maybe it was 50 Shades Darker, where they're just on the boat. And obviously in this movie, some actual stuff happens on a boat.
Yep.
In 50 Shades Darker, they're just on a boat, like, just having a good time. And It's just so fucking boring. There's just no point in it. But yes, so this movie does go quite quickly, which is... very pleasing. So yeah, the last few movies I've asked you to watch which haven't been that good for reviewing, you haven't really enjoyed them. So I'm glad you kind of enjoyed this. Yes.
Overall, it's a step in the right direction.
Yes. So Michael, we shall now get into the plot of 365 Days. So the plot follows a young Warsaw woman in a spiritual...
She'll be sore once this is over.
Yes, in a spiritless relationship, falling for a dominant Sicilian man. Isn't that redundant on all Sicilian men like this, Michael?
Yeah, that's true. Except for, the one weedy guy who gets whacked.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Imagine she fell in love with that guy. And just like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm going to get you your money, I swear. No, please, Tommy, don't. Just like, oh, he's so handsome.
I remember that guy right at the start of the movie. And, nothing happens, does it? Well, I guess, she sees him getting killed by Massimo, so maybe that's what his purpose was. But it's like, I expected more to come of that fact that he'd been trafficking.
Yeah,
children.
This film has such a staggering lack of plot, and that's the weird thing because the film starts off, and I guess this is a good time to talk about plot. The film starts off with this mobster guy getting this talk from his dad, where his dad's like, "Someday, Massimo, all of this will be yours." And Massimo's like, what about that place in the shadows?
Sorry. That sounds like James Earl Jones talking to Simba.
I was channeling it. I did like it. But,
you were doing that.
Yeah. But he's actually like, there's someday this empire will be yours. But Dad,
sex trafficking empire will be yours.
Don't we kill the prostitutes? Yes, but the prostitutes kill their clients after drug binges. This is the circle of life. But like, great. You think there's going to be this big plot element to it of like, oh, there's going to be some mafia stuff in the background. It's going to be like, Goodfellas meets 50 Shades of Grey. And I think that would have made the film more stupid if they would have lent into the the mob stuff more.
It should definitely have done that. That would have been great. That's the thing. It's in the background, and it literally is in the background. You don't see it apart from some
and it kind of
flashes.
Disappears the longer it goes on. Like at the end, it's like almost like this weird thing. Like when they get married, and she's like, "No one, I don't want anyone to know what you do," and it's kind of like, "Oh yeah, he kills people."
Yes, he's the head of a fucking mafia.
Yeah.
I think it's just called a mafia, isn't it? It's not like a cartel.
It's called the Nova Kostra.
Alright, okay.
It's got loads of names.
Fair enough. I'll just read the rest of the plot.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize I interrupted you. I apologise.
No, it's fine. I think it was a good interruption. So obviously the mafia is involved because this is the dominant Sicilian man. Massimo Torricelli is head of this mafia crime family. And this Sicilian man imprisons her and grants 365 days, hence the name of the movie, to fall in love with him. So he kidnaps her and wants him to and wants her to fall in love with him, which that's I think that's always the start of a healthy relationship. I'm sure you can agree. But anyway, first thing that happens obviously is his dad dies right in front of him. He gets shot, and I was expecting this to be something that comes up later in the movie, but as we just discussed, there's hardly really any mafia stuff, which I think it would have made the movie better.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't like a bit of, mafia shootings going on in their romantic, erotic drama film? Why not? Just make it that much more fun.
Yeah, give the guys something to look at instead of, apart from this woman's arse. We don't care about that. We want to see gangsters. Yeah, we want to see Joe Pesci's arse.
So you don't ever find out why the dad got shot, and you suppose he was shot by a rival gang, but the details are never gone into at all. And it is a pretty major thing that happened in his life. It could have, well, I say it could have fucked him up, and actually it probably did. It's a traumatic event, and it convinced him to dedicate his life to some woman that he never met, because right before he got shot, he saw her, this girl,
which is normal.
Yeah, I guess it did fuck him up, actually. That we're acting like this is a love story, or the movie is acting like it's a love story, but that's a pretty glaring thing. Like, if you paint a fucking massive picture in your house to this woman who you've never met, okay, it's creepy on its own, but how did that happen? Well, his dad was shot right in front of him. Okay, I suspect that the gang really, or the crime family that he's with, really are enablers. Like, instead of getting him to go see a doctor,
that's like such a weird thing. I mean, that's like, you imagine this in like a film that wasn't stupid, and you just think like it would be a story about this like crazy guy who's just like obsessed, and he's got like his family around him just like really awkward about it. Like, oh man, what's like everyone would just be kind of scared of him. They'd be like, oh man, he's pretty crazy, but he's kind of too big for us to really call him out. And he'd just be like, just this series of awkward henchmen all around him. But we don't get any of that.
Yeah. No, that must be what it's like. Because it's obvious that this guy's fucking a bit mental, isn't he? He would be mental anyway, but the fact that it comes from this event where his father got killed right in front of him, that's definitely something that he should go and see a doctor about. And again, when she gets kidnapped, Laura doesn't say that to him. Like, maybe there's something wrong with you. When she definitely should. But anyway, that's what happens, and then we cut to 5 years later. And again, this is another plot thread which isn't, picked up again later. Massimo is talking with some American businessman in San Francisco saying, I want my money, classic mafia stuff, give me my money, I need it, I want 10% interest. And you have no idea what's going on, no idea what's happened, but that doesn't matter because it's not picked up later on either. And that is intercut with this Polish business meeting in Warsaw with this girl, Laura, who obviously eventually gets kidnapped. And she, again, is being blamed for doing something, and you have no idea what she's being blamed for either. But again, that doesn't come up either later on, so it is what it is. It's just business meetings going on in the background to set up these characters, even though that has nothing to do with the rest of the movie at all. Which I did think it would. Call me crazy, but I didn't think it would. What do you think?
No, basically, I mean, I thought, like you say, that there would be some kind of actual story, at least like the base. And like, to be fair, some things, there is a mob thing that does come up, which is that she like strips in a club, or no, she's being pretty rambunctious in a club, which then causes some of these members of a rival gang to get a bit randy, leading to an altercation with Massimo, and then that eventually leads to her being assassinated on her wedding day. So there is like one thing that happened, but what's weird is how it's not like threaded together. Like the logical thing you would think would be to have it be like, oh, this kind of rivalry that's established from the beginning. And like it was very confusing to me that it wasn't all threaded together, because it's like you got this guy being killed, his dad being killed, and then you also have that they're talking about. It seemed to me like the guy was talking about doing human.
Is this in the business meeting?
No, not the business meeting. Sorry, actually, the meeting with the people before his dad gets killed. They're having a meeting with some people, and the person's saying like, "Oh yeah, you can bring these people over, and some of them are really young girls, and blah blah blah." And it seems like basically they're talking about going from the old human trafficking to sex trafficking, like making that, lateral career move, saying like, hey, there's going to be some pretty sexy mamacitas, so you can
diversify.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, diversifying the risk, which is important when you're in these kind of businesses. But like, so they're setting that up, and then obviously they have this business thing, which is just like seems to come out of nowhere, and it's kind of weird because like what Massimo is talking about doesn't really seem to be that mobby. It just seems to be like, oh. Just generic business. I don't know. It didn't really seem like, which is strange. And you would just think the logical thing to do would be to thread all of these different things together, all these different things that happen throughout the film together, so that at least then, even if they didn't even need to add anything else, which is weird. They didn't need to add anything to the film. They could have just kept what they had and just threaded it together. So it's about like this one particular family who has this rivalry. It's just very weird that they have these completely unrelated mob things in the background.
Get rid of the business scene in San Francisco and have him talking about the business with the rival gang. Exactly,
yeah. Like just have, and be like, and have this whole, I don't know, because in a way it's almost interestingly political, because the thing they seem to be talking about was, of course, what has happened, which is lots of refugees fleeing from Libya to get into Italy. And these mob guys are basically saying, hey, you can exploit these people in order to make money, which is, a pretty evil thing, but also a pretty relevant thing. And obviously the logical thing, and they kind of do this when they have this he kills his some member of his family. I don't know if they ever establish what relation he is to him. The guy who's strapped to the rock, they all make you disappear, blah blah blah. For something to do with sex trafficking, he seems to do him for, which is, I get the impression they're kind of trying to distance him from the old sex trafficking thing in this film, because I don't think women,
well, obviously his father rejects it, and he's like he says no, and so there needs to be a line here, and thank God that's the line. This guy is like, oh yeah, sure, I'll kidnap a woman, and I'll basically do something incredibly illegal, I'll kill people, but I will not participate in sex trafficking. That is the line. So at least, I guess the audience can, because obviously, they didn't have to include the plot anyway, but I guess it's that thread anyway. But I guess it's good that he's against sex trafficking, so he's got some moral standards, which is very nice. That's the bare minimum, but it's there.
I mean, women, it's the old, everyone likes a bad boy, but there's some things which are just too bad. So
that reminds me of that meme on from Gogglebox when
I don't know what it is.
Well, it's when one of the people goes, oh, we like a bad boy, don't we? And the person sitting next to him goes, yeah, but not a fucking terrorist, whatever his name is. And the meme is, you substitute terrorist for anything.
Yeah, okay. Like, I understand. That's basically, that's what I'm thinking too.
Oh, we like a bad boy, not a fucking sex trafficker, though.
Yeah,
and
so
that is the movie. Yeah, that is the crux. It's like, oh, he's a bad boy, but don't be a sex trafficker. That's going too far. And this movie recognises that. So that's a thumbs up. Anyway, we shall get on to the actual plot now. Where it kicks off properly is when Laura flies to Sicily, and we learn later on that Massimo saw Laura at the airport, and they meet each other for the first time when she is trying to look for the bathroom. Obviously, she goes on a holiday to Sicily with her boyfriend, by the way, who's a total caricature of a bad boyfriend.
Yes.
And what's the line that Massimo says? The first line that he says to her.
Isn't it? I think it's, "Are you lost, little girl?"
No, it's not. How could you forget that? Have you even watched this movie?
Is it Baby?
Yeah, it's Baby. But obviously he says it in a really creepy... I mean, I don't know how you can't say it in a creepy way. "Are you lost, baby girl?"
Baby girl, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, little girl, baby girl.
Give your impression.
Are you lost, the baby girl?
Now, it needs to be like deeper than that.
Are you lost, baby girl?
There we go. Now you're getting
I want to suck your blood.
He says that. Are you lost, baby girl? And I laughed when he said that the first time. And then after that, she says, I can't remember if she says anything, but she turns around and goes the other way.
And he's like, go on or something.
And he just disappears like he's Batman.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. And then later, after he kidnaps her, as the second thing that he says to her, when he walks up behind her, like a really bad way, I think, because you want to get this girl to love you, a really bad way is to come up to her and, walk behind her and then out of nowhere say something quite creepy to her.
Yes, it's not a great strategy. It's not a good look.
Relationships are sometimes, good relationships often start with, good first impressions. That is not a good first impression, I'd say.
No.
Are you lost, baby girl? Probably not what she wanted to hear either time. But yeah, anyway, so this is when Massimo explains to her that she saw him on the day his father died, so therefore he sees her every day. Makes total sense. Again, I would suggest he visit a doctor of some kind, because this is a problem. This isn't something that can be kind of, it's not a quirk of Massimo's.
No.
This is quite an issue. And yeah, and it is, again, a massive coincidence that Laura sees him again, and it is amazing. It really is. And the thing is, though, which I mentioned before, Laura does not seem that fazed by this.
Yes. She seems kind of bored.
Yeah, she's just... Because here's the thing, if I was that girl, I'd be just freaking out so much. Like, this person who's crazy, who's got a lot of powers, captured me. But, I mean, she's annoyed. That's the thing. She is annoyed, and she says, like, I'm not an object. But yeah, she's like, you don't get the sense that she understands the gravity of how fucked up this situation actually is, and how weird it is.
A lot of the time she seems kind of bored.
Yeah, she does. And I like this line from Wikipedia. It says, Massimo reassures Laura that he will not touch her without her consent, even as he touches her.
Yeah, was that literally what the line says?
That's what it says on Wikipedia.
That's so funny. It's basically, it's mental.
Yeah, he reassures her that he will not touch her without her consent, even as he touches her.
You know what, Luke? I realised we kind of blasted past something which I had something to say about, which is her boyfriend, her shitty boyfriend.
Yeah.
Basically, this is my thing that I was thinking about as I was watching it. She is obviously not unattractive, but she has a quite unattractive husband, or boyfriend. He's not.
Well, the issue is
terrible,
he's fucking bald.
Yeah, he's bald and he's fat,
really bald. Yeah, he's kind of fat, but the main issue is he's got no hair on his head, and he's probably about 32 years old.
Yeah,
he's like, an issue there.
There's no reason why she would be attracted to him, and it's kind of like I think I remember reading kind of the vague plot summary, and implied, like it said, like she felt trapped or something in this, in this unfulfilling relationship, and you think she could literally date anybody. Like, the issue is this isn't much of a fantasy in the sense that, like, it would make sense as a fantasy if, like, she couldn't date pretty much anybody she wanted to based on how attractive she is. Like, she could just go to a club and get a guy more attractive than this. And then her boyfriend cheats on her, which is just like, and I was thinking it's kind of, and obviously, this is for women to imagine themselves, but it's kind of like, it would be so much more believable if she wasn't as attractive.
Yeah, well, I was going to get onto that kind of later when the comparisons between 50 Shades of Grey and this movie. But yeah, certainly, I mean, I imagine they have Tinder in Warsaw.
Yes.
And I imagine plenty of people would swipe right on Laura. No doubt about that. But yeah, you are right that she does seem trapped in this relationship, and of course that it's meant to be a fantasy. But the thing is, she is not an everyday woman. She's an executive, and she is. Yeah,
exactly. She's so, and that's the weird thing. Like, I guess that's the weird reason why it doesn't even make sense as a fantasy, because like usually you do the old, kind of
this
making
is what happens in 50 Shades.
Yeah, exactly. You'd make like somebody who is attractive, but you'd make them look kind of unattractive. It's the older, she's got her hair in a ponytail and she's wearing glasses. She's unattractive.
Clothes that don't fit.
Yeah, and then
low self-esteem.
and that's exactly, and that's why she's with this blubbering whatever, and she feels trapped with him. And then obviously she meets this other guy, and she becomes really empowered. And suddenly, oh look, she's actually attractive.
She's already like that though, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly.
It's an issue.
She's already like as perfect as she needs to be, which is just insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that, and that all kind of to me ties into.
Word.
Well, yeah, sorry, but I mean, obviously she's still mental, but she doesn't need to go through a big kind of growth moment. So it's kind of weird how completely, like, considering how insane being kidnapped is by a crazy mobster, it's kind of mental that it's completely redundant to a character to go through any of this.
Yes.
Like, that's the one word that shouldn't describe being kidnapped by a mobster. Redundant.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if the message of the movie is about how she falls for him, and yeah, one of the reasons why that happens, I guess, in 50 Shades and in Twilight, which obviously 50 Shades is based off, is that this girl, in both movies or both books, I guess, is has a low self-esteem, isn't that popular, and therefore this billionaire gives her confidence. Or vampire in Twilight. But yeah, we'll get onto what actually happens between them now in this movie.
Yes.
So there is it kind of gets quite repetitive after this. And the thing is, she starts off, she kind of gives in at first. She starts making jokes, and she has her breakfast, and she's smiling, and she starts spending a bunch of money on clothes, and it seems like she's somehow enjoying herself. And then when he walks in on her while she's changing, she realizes, oh shit, I want to escape again because this guy's a psycho and I'm being held captive.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how she is okay with everything, and then as soon as he walks in, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this guy's a fucking weirdo, isn't he?
It's very weirdly handled, because don't they have maybe I'm going crazy here, but don't they have literally before that the scene of the bodyguards kind of carrying all her luggage and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Which is and that feels and I swear, okay,
it's out of a cheesy rom-com.
The music in this film is insane, which we're gonna get into later when we talk about sex. But in that moment, they're playing this upbeat pop music. It's and you would think this would be kind of the thing that would happen. This should be the scene after she's kind of broken through to him. If we're talking about Beauty and the Beast comparisons, this would be the scene where Belle and the Beast are having a snowball fight. But instead it's almost if this was Beauty and the Beast, it would they have a snowball fight, and then suddenly Belle goes up to her room and the Beast comes and goes, Belle, where are you? And she goes, I don't want to come out. And it's okay, you kind of got your scenes in the wrong order there, movie. And that's basically what this is. Yeah, they're having fun. It's oh, look, she dropped because she's got so much stuff. Oh, she's got all this great stuff. And look, now the bodyguards dropped it. Look at the bodyguards carrying all those pink bits of luggage with these big red bows on them. Isn't that funny, watching these big macho? It's playing it for laughs. It's just where is this coming from?
Yeah, it's she is being held captive by this guy, and at this stage she's definitely not okay with it, and she should not be okay with it anyway. But yeah, she is definitely not, because like you said, in the next scene she realizes she wants to escape. She runs and finds some police officers who obviously don't speak English, and it doesn't really matter anyway because Massimo, this guy, probably pays them all off, so she's not going to get any help from them, and that means she just accepts it. And that's the thing, they have a scene where they're eating, and she gets some food from her native Poland, which
pierogies.
Yeah, and that allows her to get her phone and her laptop back from Massimo. And then she has the opportunity to call her mum and tell her about what's going on. I've been kidnapped by this mafia gangster who's got pictures of me all over his house, and walks in on me when I'm changing. Is a real creep, says weird things to me. Help, that's what she says, doesn't she, Michael?
Yeah.
Oh no, wait. She doesn't. She actually says everything's fine. I've got a new job here in Sicily. Which again, I don't know why this is the case. Why she says that, considering what had just gone on previously, and now she has an opportunity to get out. So you'd assume she's fine with it, but again, this is what I'm talking about. It's bad enough that she's okay with the situation that she's in, but then immediately in the next scene, you see her. They're trying to get her onto a private jet because they're going to Rome, I think, and then you see the bodyguards dragging her out of the car because she's kicking and screaming.
Yeah, it makes no sense. When that scene happened, I was like, what is happening? And it was again, in a weird way, comedic. So she's kicking and going, it's just, it's so weird. Yeah,
and I don't know what she's feeling here, what her plan is. What is she thinking? Again, she shouldn't be okay with this anyway, but okay, we've established that she is okay with the situation she finds herself in. So why is it in the next scene, when nothing has happened, why is she now against it? And why does she need to be, fucking tied up in a chair on the private jet? I don't understand, Michael. I don't understand.
No,
I was baffled. And then again in the next scene, this zigzag continues because first off, actually, we failed to mention she showers naked in front of him, and then in front of Massimo's cousin, she does this thing with the ice cream where she pulls around her lips, being all seductive. I do like, by the way, when his cousin asks him, how's it going with his new girl? Massimo says, yeah, it's difficult. He sighs, it's like, oh, it's difficult. And I just love to, if they continued that conversation, and he was like, when you kidnap a girl and you try and convince her to love you,
nice guys finish last. And
women,
kidnappers.
Women, you can't live with them, can't live without them.
It's just, it's just relatable, bonding.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult when you try to do that. It's not easy to pull off. And I don't know if the cousin knows that this is what Massimo does or what he's doing, but it'd be really funny if he didn't know. Oh, no, actually, it would be really funny if he didn't know, and he's just trying to have a relatable conversation. And it's difficult, isn't it? This new girl, eh? And, oh, wow, you've kidnapped her. Oh, wow. I
imagine that would be a real difficult place to start off.
Not surprised you're finding difficulties there, pal.
Talk about you getting off on the wrong foot.
I know, right? Okay, so then here's the zigzag in. So we're on the path where she is fine with the situation and is actually again teasing Massimo because she goes into his room. For some reason, again, she's in her room, she's doing fine. She walks into his room, and then she again tries to, I don't know what she does. She just tries to seduce him. Yeah. And that's meant to be like a finger, and then she tries to leave the room, and then she's very angry she can't get out. And I'm just thinking, you're the one who fucking walked in here in the first place.
Are you saying she was asking for it, Luke?
I'm not saying she was asking for it. I'm saying it's a very stupid thing to do. Incredibly stupid thing to do if you're concerned about this guy and how weird he is and how creepy he is. Why walk into his room when you didn't have to? But then, thankfully, we do get a absolutely hilarious scene where this mafia guy, Massimo, big macho, strong, he ties her up on the bed. And I don't think you said before it's kind of BDSM. I'm not going to count it as that. It's just, I don't really know what the point in it was, or just to get her to stay there, basically. But anyway, so Massimo says to her, I'm going to show you what you're missing. Yes. And what is Laura missing, Michael? What does Massimo do?
He brings a woman in and she blows him.
Yes. That is what she's missing out on.
I will say this though, okay, when it happened, and I was talking to someone as I was watching this first time, and I was like, oh no, this is getting pretty rapey. And then he's got her tied to the bed, and he's like, oh yeah, every single time you struggle, this bar widens the distance between your legs and blah blah blah. And it's like, I'm going to show you what you're missing. I was like, oh no, he's going to get his dick out without her consent. And then he brings in this other woman to have sex with her, and I'm like, phew, that is just so much better, because at least presumably this other woman has consented. I hope so. I mean,
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
but not in a meaningful sense, because he is a mob boss. So I guess really,
yeah, she's a prostitute probably. That's what she is. And the thing is, I knew about that scene before I watched the movie because I read an article about it, and they pointed that scene out. And this Massimo says to this girl, "I'll show you what you're missing." And then this other girl walks in and gives him a blowjob, as in, "Yeah, I wish you could give me a blowjob, don't you?" And so I knew that was happening. So yeah, I wasn't giving the context of the situation. Yeah, I'm not surprised you were sweating a bit considering what happened. But again, if there was a rape, I doubt this would be on Netflix.
No, yeah. But I was thinking not necessarily a literal rape, but I don't know. The thing is, they can do anything nowadays with music. I think that's what we really learned. If you just have a little romantic soundtrack, it's all is forgiven.
Yes. Okay. So
no, Judge, I swear, I'm innocent. Didn't you hear the soundtrack? It was playing something by The Weeknd.
So then we get another fucking zag, because she then goes back to her room and she cries. And he says, by the way, meet me at a club in a couple of hours. That's because, he's having a business dealing. So he absolutely needs her there, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But that's the thing. Then she goes to the club. She doesn't have to, really. There's no one forcing her to, but she goes anyway. And then, again at the club, she's fucking dancing with the girls to provoke him, as he says. Deliberately provoke him, and talking about how short her skirt is. And it's like, what is your play here? What are you trying to do? Because it seems like half the time you are absolutely scared to death of this guy, and the other half, again, you just want to tease or provoke him. It just, the zigzags going on is just mental, Michael. I can't keep track of it.
No, it's pretty crazy, basically. And there really is no logic to it. There's no. I mean, the only thing she's been consistent on is not actually having sex with him so far. But yeah, like there is literally, it is just, it's all over the place. Like genuinely, and that's the crazy thing about it. Just like the massive thing. And I felt like a lot of these films and a lot of romantic comedies more abstractly do involve some pretty wild mood swings. But this really does take the biscuit.
No, you're right. That is often a trope in romantic comedies of this girl really not liking this guy or vice versa, and then suddenly everything flips around.
Yeah. Or Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. That's the other place where you see this a lot.
Yeah. And then they fall in love and it's like, well, that's bullshit. You know, that's what you say in this movie. Oh, this is bullshit. This is just, again, this is Hollywood romance, you know, and all of that. But this is just unbelievable. This is like that trope on steroids. Like, this 1 minute, this girl is like worried that this guy's going to rape her. And then the next minute, like, she's trying to fucking provoke him and, you know, talking about again how short her skirt is and everything. And it's just like, yeah, this is crazy. I don't think the writers of this movie really had a good handle on how this girl actually feels about the situation she's in.
Yes.
Yes. But anyway, so she was dancing with this guy who, again, tries to have sex with her. Well, that's what she says. And that means that obviously Massimo, because he's from a rival gang.
Yes.
So then Massimo, you find out, actually shot this guy in his hands because that's, you know, he was touching her with his hands.
Yes.
And that's the thing. That right there is what fucks everything up for the rest of the movie. Because then that starts a fucking war. And I'm like, Massimo, did you really need to do that, knowing the consequences? I mean, you know, she's okay. Like, she didn't get raped or anything. And you know that if you shoot that guy in his hands, like what happened, you are going to start this rival gang war, which, of course, is what happens, which eventually leads to Laura dying. Just an incredibly stupid mistake from Massimo. And maybe it's his, again, this I mean, look, I don't think he's that good at running a business. Like, you could see from the business meeting at the beginning where he only got 12% of his money back, and I think he's in way over his head. I think his dad would be incredibly disappointed with how he runs his business.
No, yeah, basically, and he's genuinely just really stupid. Unfortunately,
really stupid.
And that's the thing. Like, it's like, imagine this as an actual gangster film where it's just like some guy's just like, oh man, he's touching that woman, bang, shot him in the hand. It's like everyone is Joe Pesci's character from Goodfellas. Yeah,
exactly. Just incredibly. Well, that's the thing.
And Joe Pesci's supposed to be the stupid idiot.
Yeah,
who gets killed.
The stereotype. It's the gangster stereotype of these guys are very, you know, protective, and that also means they're very irrational, and they just do stuff without thinking. Which, is that racism against Italians, Michael, or specifically Sicilians? We have to ask.
I don't know.
Think about stuff.
I mean, they really don't. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it comes from the fact that Sicily has just been part of so many different countries over its history. It just kind of confuses them. Like,
all the people are really angry all the time.
Like, one time, fucking England owned Sicily under the Normans. So there we go. Like, I mean, imagine they were English for a while. So that's probably where they get their, you know, drunkenness from. I don't think they drink that much. They drink wine, but I don't think they get drunk on wine. That's the scary thing about it, actually. They're not even drunk. They're just crazy.
Yes. Anyway, so that's basically the first bit of the movie, because the movie then takes a big change after they were in the club, because, you know, they're angry with each other, Massimo and Laura for being, you know,
a tease,
as it were, and Massimo for, you know, shooting people, kidnapping her, and being a general bit of a dick. So Laura then somehow falls off the boat, and she's in there for a good 3 seconds, you know, in the water before Massimo gets to her. And I didn't really think she was at risk of drowning, but apparently that is how the movie wants to present it, because...
Yeah, it was a bit weird, wasn't it?
She says, you saved me. And Massimo is like, why are you so disobedient? Don't do that again. You scared me. It's like, she was in the water for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure like there are lots of people, crazy people who are clearly not afraid of the deep ocean, who will take their boats out to the sea in order to go swimming in the sea. Mm-hmm. I'd say that's quite a common thing. So, you know. And like, she definitely should be able to, like, wasn't she in her bathing suit? Because I realized, like, sometimes, you know, if you're like fully clothed and you fall in the water, you can drown.
Yeah.
But I swear she was literally like in a bikini. So literally it should have just been the equivalent to her jumping in a pool.
Yeah, unless she can't swim.
Which has never been established.
Yeah, exactly. So Massimo, quote unquote, saves her, and that makes her think that he cares about her. Not that she's still his object, or that's how he sees her. That this girl's an object, and the fact that he still kidnapped her and said all these really creepy things to her. That all goes out of the way. He actually cares about her now, and so then they have sex.
They make sweet, tender love.
Very sweet, tender love all over a boat. A lot of positions.
They're literally having sex on top of the roof of the boat. This was like, up until this point, I was thinking, I was kind of impressed by how resilient she was. Because they end up having sex at an hour and 8 minutes in, which means...
Oh, you timestamped it.
Yeah, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, it's genuinely impressive how long she's, like, it makes no sense. Because, like, say, she's completely going, like, yo-yoing on how enthusiastic she even is about the situation. But at least the one consistent through line is that she's not having sex with this crazy person. And then
she does.
Yeah. And I was thinking, like, the issue is, though, in some ways, after that point, at an hour and 8 minutes, the film kind of just is done. Because, like, at that point, it's kind of just playing out the rest of it in a weird way. Well,
I wrote that after this, it really does go into the 50 Shades of Grey model, or 50 Shades Dark model, to be more specific, where it is a scene, then they have sex, then there's a scene, then they have sex, then there's a scene, then they have sex. That is how it goes. And yeah, there's, like you said, there's really not much else. Because guess what? There isn't a plot really in this movie, Michael, and maybe they set a plot up, maybe, involving the mafia to some extent, I don't know, involving anything else, then there maybe would be tension. But the tension is, will this girl fall for this guy who has kidnapped her? And when they have sex 1 hour, 8 minutes into the movie, the answer is, well, yes, it's going to happen now, isn't it? There is no tension. There's no, she actually rejects him, and or any of that. No, it's like, well, this obviously is going to happen now, isn't it? And so, yeah, after that, it is quite boring. I mean, the whole movie isn't that fun, but after that, yeah, it does take a bit of a dive. There's no more tension. I mean, the question in itself is ridiculous, but once that ridiculous question is answered, and it is a ridiculous answer with her saying yes, then it is like, oh well, what the fuck do we do for the remaining 40 minutes? And it is that 50 Shades model of scene and sex, then a scene, then a sex scene.
Yeah.
But anyway, she goes to Poland.
Which is unnecessary.
Oh, actually, do you remember they go to a ball later that night, and his girlfriend shows up, his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And says, I want to kill her. And again, that's never brought up again.
It's so, and that's the thing, that's straight out of 50 Shades of Grey, the old, there's someone else from the past, and now they're here again. And it's just like, yeah, but shut up.
Yeah. And then there is an acknowledgement, actually, from her friend that the relationship is fucked. Laura's friend, Olga, back in Warsaw states it. So at least there's that. So shout out for the movie for acknowledging it.
Well done, Olga.
Yes,
Olga's
and then as we mentioned,
OG.
like she gets married. Apparently there was a...
Yeah, I would like to point out, you've missed out the fact, and this is significant, that prior to them getting married, she says, I love you. And the reason why I think it's significant that you missed out, because even though like that's supposed to be the big moment, it doesn't really matter. Because it's like, she's already said like, oh, I want to be with you and blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of like, obviously the thing is supposed to be, she's got 365 days to fall in love with him. But it's kind of like, once they've already had sex, there's, the fact that she says, oh, I love you, it's kind of meaningless. So that's why, and obviously you skipped it out because, it doesn't even matter, even that's supposed to be the whole point of the film. Yeah,
you're right. And the fact that I did skip it kind of intentionally, it doesn't really matter that much, shows how, I mean, the lack of tension there is. And the thing is, it happens after, he abandons her when she's in Poland, and apparently there's this big battle between the Sicilian rival gangs, and that's what convinces her that she loves him, because he fought in this battle. He's got scars to prove it, so it's like, oh, he really loves me now. Just again forgetting everything that's happened up until that point. So then they get married, and then she dies, like we said, all because fucking Massimo shot those guys' hands.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what a moron. And so what's the message at the end of the day, Michael, from this movie? Well, what is the message? I mean, the thing is, the friend, Olga, was right, that she shouldn't marry him, or she should run away, but only because, and this is not a good thing, only because Massimo was really stupid and shot his rival gangster's guy's hand. Because if it wasn't for that, they'd be, according to the movie, they'd be happily ever after.
Yes.
So is that the message of the movie?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in a way, the good thing is the fact that she does die means that the ending is much more satisfying for people who can see it's all nonsense. Because you're like, oh, good.
But that's
over.
The thing, though. It's only because this guy was a fucking moron in a situation that did not involve.
No, it's definitely a bad thing that it ends up terribly. Because maybe I'm wrong. I haven't actually seen 50 Shades Freed, but I thought 50 Shades Freed had kind of a downer ending. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh well, that's good. I mean, I haven't seen it, but you would assume because we've watched the first two that it should because
the first two had a downer ending, and I'd be interested to see if it did because that would be great if it did. A bit like Blue Valentine. Love that film.
It should not end good, but the reason why it did not end good is irrelevant to why it should have ended badly. Yes,
exactly, yeah. So it should have, so I get what you're saying. So it should have been like, oh, it ends badly because he's a freaking psychopath, but instead it ends badly because she died. Isn't that sad? Yeah.
Yeah, because he did something stupid, which,
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, it's kind of a reverse Raylo, where, obviously, Kylo Ren dies at the end and all the Raylos are upset, even though, because I actually saw somebody, I was looking up some comments on Reddit, but it was quite difficult to find things. But I found a conversation on the Lady Boners subreddit. Are you a fan of the Lady Boners subreddit?
I mean, I can't say I am.
Okay, well, basically, they were obviously talking about the male lead, and obviously there's nothing wrong with finding the actor attractive, because I assume that he doesn't kidnap women. But there were some people saying, oh, I like the movie, I think it's really hot. And then someone's like, I just hate the ending because I wanted them to be happy together. And I was like, oh, shut up, I said.
Okay, so this is the issue, I guess, then, because the message of the movie, well, we'll talk about the problematic element. I mean, we have already kind of mentioned it. I mean, it's hard to not mention the problematic element while going through the plot, because this guy fucking kidnaps a girl and tries to make her fall in love with him. It is a kind of a mixture between Beauty and the Beast and 50 Shades of Grey, I think. But just worse. There is a line earlier on in the movie which sticks out to me when Laura says to Massimo, when he reveals that he's kidnapped her and wants her to fall in love with him, she says to him, "This is not how falling in love works." And I agree, but apparently, according to the movie, that line is incorrect, because it is how falling in love works. So yeah, do you think there's a problem?
Yes.
With the message of the movie, Michael?
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's, and also, I mean, there's the fact that obviously, it's like, and there's just like the whole thing with consent, and like the fact he's like, I promise I won't touch you unless you permit me to, and then literally he's constantly flouting that self-imposed regulation by touching her, and obviously putting her in situations where I was reminded of how Andrea Dworkin famously argues that consent is almost rendered meaningless because the constant threat women feel under patriarchy means that a lot of women don't feel safe rejecting men's advances, and that if you really wanted meaningful consent, you'd have to destroy the system of patriarchy that causes many women to feel uncomfortable saying no in the first place. And I was thinking about that, but instead of patriarchy, it's crazy man's castle.
Yes. Yeah, and here's the thing. This is something that has been criticised by quite a few people, columnists, and also I saw today, singer Duffy. Remember her, Michael?
Yes, I do remember Duffy.
Yes, she called Netflix's 365 Days kidnap film irresponsible. She says it glamorises the brutal reality of sex trafficking, kidnapping and rape. So there is no actual rape in this movie, but there is many times where you think, oh God, is it going to happen?
Yes.
But then, I mean, in the back of your mind, it's like, this is on Netflix, so it's not going to happen. But there are certain situations where it is possible, even though Massimo says, I will not touch you unless you tell me to. But obviously, as he's saying that, he violates that promise, and he violates it throughout the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, Duffy said, by the way, this should not be anyone's idea of entertainment, nor should it be described as such. And that's the thing. It is, I think back to the 50 Shades movies.
Yeah.
And I think back to how Christian Grey treated Anastasia. And this is just that, but more obvious. Like, just before they have sex together for the first time, do you remember what Massimo says to Laura? What he says to her?
I can't know. I'm sure
he asks her a question. He goes, "Why are you so disobedient?"
Yeah, I thought it would be. I was trying to think it was something weird.
Again, that's straight. That's a Christian Grey line. But yeah, it's the why it's even worse is because obviously she has been captured by this guy, and I'm thinking about when he when she describes to her friend his personality. Do you remember that scene?
Yes.
When Laura describes to Olga, like she says, "Oh, he's a strong alpha male who always knows what he wants." And I'm like, yeah, that's not an issue with that. And then she says, "He is your caretaker and your defender." The caretaker line, okay, fine, whatever. Some girls like that. Not gonna judge. And then she says this really curious line at the end, and she says, "When you are with him, you feel like a little girl." And I don't know, Michael. I think that number one, that does scream daddy issues. That's what I think about that. But yeah, it just there is a I guess the phrase is power dynamic between these two, which illustrated by that line from Laura, "You feel like a little girl." The power dynamic is pretty off center,
yes,
wouldn't you say?
Yes, definitely. It is intense.
And that's not healthy, right?
Nope.
And here's the thing. I just think because of, look, obviously Massimo, he's an attractive guy. He's very rich. So there is his pros. But he does have a lot of cons. The fact that he kidnapped this girl and...
yes.
And here's the thing. In the 50 Shades movies, there is this thing with Christian Grey that underneath it, he's actually a sensitive person. And his, sexual deviancy, maybe that's the best way to describe it, is just because he's been fucked up as a young man, which is problematic in itself. But there's the idea that he's actually quite a nice guy deep down. That's what Anastasia sees in him. That's why she keeps, that's why she stays in this relationship. But in this movie, that's not the case. Like Massimo, he doesn't have a heart of gold. He's a straight up monster. Like he says at the start, "I'm not a monster," but he literally is. There's nothing that makes you think he's not. I mean, he's incredibly controlling, obviously, and he displays no virtues. There is no reason to like him. Like he's not soft-centered. It's not like, Laura is convinced that she can change this person.
Yeah.
Even though that, again, these are tropes that are quite problematic. But there's not even that. He is just like the worst person you could imagine. And she falls for him. So this is what I'm talking about with this movie being even like worse than 50 Shades in that respect. Because we've talked about how 50 Shades is problematic, but this goes beyond that, wouldn't you say?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just it is just terrible. I mean, that's the thing. I was thinking about it, and I just feel like obviously, I think you can make criticisms of literal pornography as art, but at least with literal pornography, there's like a very clear sense of you leave some degree of moral criticism at the door. And, like whether or not you think it's appropriate that people do that, there's like most people would understand, oh yeah, obviously I'm doing it. But I feel like with these films that try to have a plot, I feel like there's a difference. And I feel like it's kind of why making serious, or making essentially pornography, because that's really what this is. Like
it's been described as softcore.
Into films. The reason why I think there's a moral issue with that is because I think people have an intrinsic understanding that films will generally make sense. And if they don't make sense, it will usually be in kind of a clever way. So obviously, there are films that display immoral acts and don't necessarily present an internal moral criticism, but usually those films would be, you can understand they're kind of a commentary, a meta-commentary on film as an interpretive medium. But that's kind of a very heady concept, and unsurprisingly, that's not what this film is going for. Instead, this film is just going for, oh man, isn't not having consent sexy? And the problem is that when we watch a film, we kind of understand, well, I'm supposed to interpret this as having some kind of meaning, having some kind of message, and obviously the only message you get out of this is terrible. Like if this was just some weird, film by, I don't know, Brazzers.com, and it was called like sexy kidnapping, mob boss. It was like, then we wouldn't be here talking about it, going, oh man, I don't like what this thing had to say about women.
Yeah, there's a level of, you have to suspend your disbelief, I guess, when you're watching that. Yeah. It's like, well, the point is that these people have sex. That is the point. That is what you pay money for to watch these videos, But that is not the point of a movie like this. Yeah. Even one that can be described as softcore. The point isn't, oh, let's get to the sex scenes. I mean, that's not meant to be the point. But maybe actually it is. But yeah, and it is weird. I said at the start that this movie is hilarious, and I kind of stick by that, even though we've just mentioned how this guy is probably worse than Christian Grey, because like it is so unbelievable that this girl falls for it, and it is so ridiculous how fucking what a caricature this guy is, and it's this whole romance is so ridiculous. And it is problematic, but it is, at the same time, so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That you can't help but just laugh at it. Because that's the thing with 50 Shades, what makes it, I guess, worse is because there's an air of believability to it, you could say. You can see maybe it happening, but this, you just can't see it happening at all, which allows you, I guess, to laugh at it as well.
Yeah, I think that is the thing. I do think, I would say on balance, this film is probably less harmful than 50 Shades, because I think
I agree,
most people who watch this film will, there's a point in which you push it so far that, and it's like, I mean, the obvious kind of classic example would be that some of the stuff in particularly Harrison Ford films, but like, let's say, for example, classic example would be Empire Strikes Back, where Han basically forces himself on Leia, even as she's repeatedly saying that she doesn't want him to touch her or engage with her physically, and he does it anyway. And obviously nowadays we can look back on that and go, well, that's not very good. But the issue there, of course, is that it's kind of presented in such a way that it's like it's almost like the uncanny valley of problematic stuff, where it's like, if it's just kind of presented as okay enough but is still bad, then it's kind of an issue. And I think Empire Strikes Back is a good example of that, where it's kind of it's just presented as like just romantic enough, oh, he's just being a bit cheeky, blah 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 blah, that obviously you can be like, oh, ignore the fact that she's literally saying don't touch me. Whereas in this film I feel like it's pushed it so far that it's kind of become sort of more excusable, and that you're like, well, obviously no one's going to take this seriously. So I guess what I'm really saying is this film is better than The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You think, well, obviously no one's going to take this seriously, but then you see that Reddit comment.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, it's definitely it's interesting, and I do think, like, obviously I feel like there are obviously women who could get bad attitudes from this, but I also feel like there's definitely plenty of guys who would be like stupid and be like, oh, okay, so all I've got to do is be really creepy, and like, obviously, I guess you could say there is a wider societal critique.
I think that's the thing. Guys would. I have to think that with Christian Grey, maybe not, but with guys.
Yeah.
Movie, I just think, like, the fact that the kidnapping, that's the crucial thing. Like, the kidnapping is a step way too far for any.
Beyond
like, how
the
could someone
pale.
think, oh yeah, this girl's gonna like me if I kidnap her? And if they think that, they're probably already like problematic.
A bit too
this
far.
This movie isn't gonna like change
people's
minds.
I think that's it. Yeah, basically.
And
overall, I think it's kind of weird. It's almost like the so bad it's good of kind of feminist critique, where it's like it's so bad that you kind of like, well, hopefully it's not going to have any impact on anybody's kind of attitudes.
Well, you'd hope that anyway. But I guess we've kind of compared it to 50 Shades, and
yes,
I think, well, I'll put something in this movie's corner that it makes it probably better or less problematic than 50 Shades, is that Anastasia is more young and vulnerable, like Laura is not. And so you feel like maybe that because Laura is more experienced, that the choice she makes is more informed. But again, the fact, what is the choice? It's doing something completely crazy. So that is something I thought. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I definitely think it's kind of weird, because as it's set up in 50 Shades of Grey, it should be the case that Anastasia is the one being exploited, because obviously she's down on her luck. There's a really obvious but then in some ways Anastasia seems to be more empowered in 50 Shades of Grey, and also more consistent in such a way that she kind of comes across as more emotionally mature and like rational enough to be making these kind of informed consent. And I would probably say it as like instances of what I could comfortably identify as enthusiastic consent in 50 Shades of Grey. Whereas in this film, because she's so up and down, even though, like you said, she should be in a position where she is able to be much more informed in her decisions, because she comes across as older, she's obviously more successful and things like that. The fact that she's written completely inconsistently, and as if she really has no idea what she's doing, means that even in the brief moments she does consent, it kind of feels as if that's more to do with just her going crazy due to being kept in the situation she's in, than actually being like, oh yeah, I'd really like this. Basically overall, I'd say I agree with you that Anastasia on the surface is more in a position to be exploited, and yet at the same time she kind of manages to own the situation a bit better. So well done her. Although having said that, Anastasia has the advantage of having not been literally kidnapped. That
is another key point I was going to make. That you could again argue, well, Laura, she has a choice. I mean, but then again, is it really a choice when she has. It's either like she's trapped or she gets let out, but she gets let out on conditions. That's how it feels with Laura. But of course, with Anastasia, it is at least consensual. Even though you could argue Christian Grey's a bit of a predator.
I think there's a manipulation aspect to it, but
yes,
manipulation is a way away from.
At least it's legal, we shall say. At least it's legal, which I think is, a pretty important thing, I guess. But anyway, I think, should you want us to talk about the sex scenes now?
Yeah, okay, I do. So I actually wanted to mention what you already kind of hinted at, which is that this film acts as if Deep Throat, and I'm going to specifically say Deep Throat because it is, like, rough fellatio is the most erotic thing. Like, for the first half of this film, it acts as if that is, like, the most erotic thing in the world. Like, obviously one of the more intense scenes actually right at the beginning where he's like on the plane and this woman's like blowing him.
Stewardess.
Yeah. And then you have like, what's her face? Laura.
I can't believe we haven't mentioned that.
Pleasuring herself to the thought of it. And you're just like, oh yeah. And obviously like, I understand that, women, well, people enjoy all sorts of things. And just as a man would enjoy giving a woman oral sex, a woman would enjoy giving a man oral sex. Of course, the reductionist way to look at it would be to say, well, women don't have any erogenous zones in their mouth, so therefore they wouldn't enjoy it, which obviously isn't true. But you would just naturally think like, well, obviously the things which women are going to really enjoy, like sure, they're going to enjoy giving a man head and all that stuff because of different reasons, but the things you'd think they would really enjoy would be the things that are specifically relevant to their intimate areas. Whereas instead in this one, it's like, yeah, oh, you like sucking that dick, don't you, love? And it's like, okay, well, I don't know. And the weird thing is this was made by a woman based on a book. Well, it's directed by a woman, I think, because she's called Barbara.
I mean, I haven't read the book, so maybe things are
and a book written by a woman. And you think like, well, I don't know. I mean, are women, maybe, I just find it hard to imagine that apparently women are going like, oh yeah, I really want to suck his dick. Maybe
that's the thing in Italian culture. Yeah. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that is what it's all about. But who knows? But yeah, I again, that is the scene with the stewardess at the beginning. I haven't mentioned it. I forgot about it because it is quite weird. Yeah. It's like he basically tells the stewardess. That's the thing though, because one of his business associates mentions that the cocaine has gone missing. So I thought that I was thinking in my mind maybe that the stewardess stole it, and this is this guy thinking, hey, I'll keep my mouth shut if you do this, maybe. But I don't know.
Sounds consensual. Blackmailing somebody.
Well, I mean, that was my theory.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but that's the only thing I could think about where just suddenly that happens out of nowhere. But anyway, I think the music now, Michael, because here's the thing, the music in this movie over the sex scenes, of course, a lot of this can be compared with 50 Shades of Grey, but that's what really reminded me of 50 Shades of Grey, like the shitty, like off-brand pop music playing over the sex scenes. I was like, I was literally getting deja vu back to 50 Shades. It's like, this is exactly the same.
Yes. No, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just like the music in general, just the way the music's used to manipulate. Well, it's kind of weird because the music is like, I think with 50 Shades of Grey, the music wasn't good. And the music was used to kind of, like I say, force these emotions. But at least they were emotions that it was kind of pretty obvious you were supposed to be feeling, even if you weren't feeling them. Like, obviously, the weird one being Love Me Like You Do will always just go down as like, yay, she's on a helicopter, love me like you do. But in this film, not only is the music sometimes used kind of ham-fistedly, is what I was looking for, that's a great word. Not only is the music sometimes used ham-fistedly to communicate the emotions it's very obvious the film wants you to feel, but it's just not doing a good job at making you feel them. So it's like, well, just put in some music. Like, I think there is one moment where, like, there is a song, and someone mentions, like, love, love, love. Like, literally the only words I could get from the song were just it saying love over and over again. And obviously that's very clear, like, they're in love because the song's talking about love. But then you have, like, other moments where the music is communicating things which are completely contrary to what you think you should be experiencing. And the best example for me was right at the beginning, which is why the music was one of the first things I mentioned, which is when the dad gets shot, and then it cuts to like what sounds like boy band music. So the dad gets shot, it's like, whoa, whoa, yeah. I don't know, like, and I'm just like, that's not right. So yeah, the music is just, oh boy, it's genuinely like the best case scenario would be, oh, the music's just used lamely and kind of lazily to communicate the emotions that like, oh, make them feel this emotion. But it's literally used incompetently at some points just to make you feel completely different emotions. So yeah, and I agree with you that it is very reminiscent of 50 Shades of Grey, but worse.
I do agree with that, but I want to ask you a question now.
Yes.
here's the thing: the reason why we're doing this movie is because it's popular. It was number 4 on the most watched movies on Netflix in the UK, and it has caused a stir, as it says on the Wikipedia page. And the question is, why is this movie so popular? Why is it gaining? Maybe because it's in lockdown, and
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, but okay, expanding on from that, because maybe the answer to that is quite easy. It's a movie. It's a new movie. People are in lockdown. It's a movie about people having sex. So maybe that's what people want to.
Lots of single women who can't go out and meet their sexy men.
But what does it say about our society? That this movie is popular. What does it say about our society, Michael? As we lay back and scratch our beards that we both have.
That is a good question.
What does it say about society? Go on, give me your answer on that.
I think obviously the first thing it would say about our society would have to relate very directly to gender. Of course, the idea of men assuming dominant roles and women assuming submissive roles, to the extent that even the role of women in actively consenting to things is diminished in many erotic fantasies. And perhaps you could say that is indicative of something which we should seek to change. So that would be the most direct thing. But I guess maybe if we wanted to get a bit more cerebral, a bit more abstract, you could say that it's about the way that in our postmodern neoliberal individualist mindset, we all want to get kidnapped and fucked by capitalism.
That is a take. You should pitch that.
Thank you.
And write that. What does it say about our society that this is popular? That people still like these kind of movies. That's the thing. I bring up this question because obviously 50 Shades of Grey was released 5 years ago. And then I remember when we discussed 50 Shades of Grey back in 2018, we talked about how this movie, it had come out around the same time of the Me Too movement, which of course was still going then. Now after the Joe Biden thing, it's kind of cancelled. People can go back to sexually harassing women without any issues. But yeah, back when Me Too was a thing, hashtag believe all women, I was thinking, well, this kind of movie, surely 50 Shades of Grey, obviously, surely it
must promote some double think.
So, sorry?
It must necessitate some double think, to use some Orwellian language.
Perhaps, but I was just thinking, that movie, even though it had only been 3 years, that was of its time. And now I'm thinking, well, watching this movie, I'm like, no, it's not. I don't think that movement, the Me Too thing, changed that much, if anything, really. I know I said Biden cancelled it, but still, this movie, I think, considering it was released in February, and this is popular in the UK, and probably people don't know about that Biden thing in the UK. It is that whole thing didn't really matter, and we're just ploughing on. The patriarchy, maybe it's been chipped away a bit, you could say, but overall, I think we're still in a situation where nothing has changed in the last 5 years. Yeah. And that's not, that's just how it is. I'm not saying not giving a qualifier as to if something should change, and you and I would probably say yes, but I'm just saying, nothing has changed.
Yeah, I do think actually it's a reason why, fundamentally, no matter your wider opinions on it, there's something about the old radical feminism you have to respect, which is that, liberal feminism, as the name would imply, is very much about the idea that choice is important, and what really matters is choice. And the problem is that lots of these films are propped up by women, despite saying some very problematic things regarding feminism. And I think that should certainly give pause to those who would say, well, it just shows that as long as women are free to make choices, it doesn't matter what choices they make and whether or not those choices are based in a comprehensive understanding of what's best for achieving equality of the sexes. Just as long as they make choices, everything. It's the invisible hand of the strong, independent woman. The invisible hand of the free market is going to solve all economic injustice. It's the idea that the invisible hand of the strong, independent woman is going to solve all sexual injustice. Whereas, of course, a radical feminist would say, no, there needs to be a much more substantive critique of the choices women can make and how some of those choices may be good or bad for women. So I think basically, perhaps we do need more of a Dworkinized or a Catherine McKinnonized element to contemporary feminism.
Okay.
Bring on the fourth wave.
I don't know who that is, and I hope that that person you mentioned has said some good stuff. So yeah, that's McKinnon. And I guess we have to conclude now. That's the only thing left to do. So do you want to go first, or shall I go first?
I feel like because I was, I don't know, kind of... I said the last big thing, so you can wrap up.
All right, I'll go first. So, 365 days. This movie, again, I think... And then initially on the face of it, you look at it, and obviously you see someone like Duffy, what she says about it, it's problematic, and it's not a movie that you can say, well, it's so bad it's good, because of the problematic elements of it. But again, I think that the problematic elements are so ridiculous and so unbelievable that it is a movie which you can laugh at. I genuinely think that is the case. It is bizarre. And I just think about how... Obviously, we discussed in the middle, Laura zigzagging between being scared and wanting to escape, and then actually teasing Massimo and provoking him. It's just a movie that you can't take seriously at all. And then again, that is what separates it from 50 Shades. That is a movie that you can take seriously, and it is why, again, Christian Grey isn't as bad as Massimo in this movie, but because he doesn't kidnap Anastasia. But yeah, it is a movie that is kind of more problematic in an ironic way, because this is just so off the charts stupid. And I have given 50 Shades of Grey to Michael when it was released, and I am going to bump 50 Shades down. I am going to give it a 1 out of 10. Now I'm going to give it a 1. And this movie I am going to give
a 1.5, a 2, a 2.5, a 3.
A 1.5.
Okay.
Because I want this to be slightly better than 50 Shades because of that reason. Because, again, sometimes I rate movies higher than they are because of how bad they are.
Yes.
It's basically entertainment value that I get from them. I mean, I don't have to justify my reasoning, Michael, because I can do what I like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I am doing. So this is going to be a 1.5 out of 10. By the way, when I first started watching this and there was subtitles, this is the first movie I've seen with subtitles since I watched Parasite. I did flashback to, remember at the Oscars when Bong Joon-ho said, the only thing separating you from great foreign movies was the subtitles. Remember that?
Yeah.
Maybe he was thinking about this movie. Or
maybe we could have, for the cold open, we could have done, there was actually a story in the paper about a guy who he wanted his sister to watch Parasite so badly that he made his own dub of it, because she refused to read subtitles. So, I guess that's how you win. Just obstinately refuse to read subtitles until somebody makes it. I just like the idea. The funny thing about that, I think, is when you think about kind of the classic Japanese dubs, where they're always talking so weird. Just you think about your classic Pokemon dubs, and I was like, oh look, it's Ash, we gotta go. And just imagine that, but for Parasite, where everyone's kind of talking in that weird overacted way that people do in dubs. That's just really funny to me. Anyway, so 1.5 out of 10 for me for 365 days, and a demotion from the 250 Shades of Grey movies that we have reviewed to 1 out of 10. I think that one is long overdue, but there you go. Yeah, see, I've always given 50 Shades the old 1 out of 10. And the thing is, it was early for me, so I didn't want to rate it too low, but after all these movies, it does deserve to be there. Yeah, so it's kind of relative. Yeah, see, for me, not a reactionary. I've always said, I've always had a very clearly defined 1 out of 10, and I like to repeat my definition of 1 out of 10 every single time. 1 out of 10 for me is a film that I would describe as oppressively bad, a film where I hate watching it. And with 50 Shades of Grey, I genuinely did hate watching it. I just thought there was something about I felt uncomfortable watching it, and it disturbed me watching it. Yeah. In this film, and I think that's the thing, in this film, it wasn't oppressively bad. It was bad, but I'd rather watch this than 50 Shades. Yeah, I could stand this, and I could watch it and be like, yeah, this is, I didn't, and like I say, it went fast. With 50 Shades of Grey, I was just like, ugh. When I rewatched 50 Shades of Grey for the old retrospective review, I literally had to pause it and start playing a video game, just every other scene, just so I could kind of make it through. So the point being, I really hate 50 Shades of Grey. This film, I was able to just watch it all the way through, one sitting, and it was okay. Now, obviously, having said that, objectively, this film is worse made than 50 Shades of Grey. And you can look at things like just the way the character progression is handled, in 50 Shades of Grey. There's some consistency to it. In this, there's none at all. Music choices, everything like that. I think maybe you could say the sex scenes are slightly better done than 50 Shades of Grey, and I feel like possibly, but having said that, I can't remember 50 Shades of Grey. But I do remember when watching this film
that
thinking...
you can't remember them surely means they're really bad.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's it, yeah. Because in this, I do remember thinking as I was watching the sex scenes in this film, thinking, yeah, I could see how somebody could kind of enjoy this on a purely visceral level. Just,
the boat thing was better than anything in 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a full-on stalk on. No, not really. But I wasn't personally turned on because I'm not a woman, so I don't get turned on by this softcore shenanigans. But I was thinking, yeah, this seems like it was probably objectively well done. So that's maybe the one area I'd say this was better. Overall, though, I would actually agree with you. I like to rate films based on just the experience of watching them rather than necessarily how objectively good they are. And with that in mind, I think I'm going to rate this film above Zombie 2, which is, I also consider Zombie 2 to be a 2 out of 10, because Zombie 2 is fun. Like, I actually am kind of quite excited to watch Zombie 2 again. But below actually, you know what? Here's my curveball. I'm going to put it above Lion King 2019. And below Death Note. Because I don't know, Lion King 2019 bothered me more. I had that as a 2 out of 10. So it is a weird thing. I'm actually ranking this higher than you. I'm actually ranking it a 2 out of 10. So there we go.
Wow.
You can talk about how problematic I am. But there we go.
You're the guy who posts feminist videos on his channel. Yeah. I mean, you've just been shown up for the fraud you are. Yeah. The good news is, by the way, I think the length of this podcast is going to be just enough that there's a chance people will click on it thinking it's the full movie, which is what we love. That's what we love to hear. No, I don't want to deceive people. We
don't want to. That's the thing. It just happens sometimes. Like we don't try to do it.
I think though it may be the case because as we know our most viewed videos apart from the fucking Indian one. What's it called? Something apart from that one, all the fucking videos that we get, which are the highest rated, are the ones which middle-aged women click on. Yeah, exactly. Because they don't know how to work illegal streaming, and they think that somehow YouTube will allow these movies to be uploaded without them paying. Yeah, that's the thing. We're not getting the kind of white male nerd. Well, not necessarily white, the male nerd audience. Yeah, because they know. Yeah, exactly. Because they'll know. They won't be like, oh yeah, because that's what we really want. We want Mauler's audience. We want H Bomber Guy's audience. We want insert other YouTube person who talks about things audience. All a bunch of nerds. Exactly. So yes, we have done 365 days. We have wrapped it up, a movie which got a lot of hype, and we've dissected it. I mean, obviously, if you knew anything about it, you knew it was really bad. Some critics have said it's the worst movie they've ever seen, and I could follow that, but I think it's more entertaining than some movies that I've ranked lower. But having said that, it is like my 4th worst movie of all time, so I have ranked it pretty badly. But anyway, Michael, what are we doing next week? You don't know, do you? Because we have reshuffled. Oh, okay. So you tell me, Luke. We are doing Requiem for a Dream next week. Oh, okay. That's fine. Requiem for a Dream. Yes, a bit different to this. So yes, thank you for listening. We've been selecting and reflecting on 365 days. A movie which... like I said at the start, very unique, or maybe actually it's not, because obviously we compared it to another movie quite a bit. Yes. But join us next week for a definitely unique movie, Requiem for a Dream. Have you been Michael? I've been Michael. I've been Luke. Thanks for listening and goodbye. Goodbye.